Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Good to have you with us on yet another Monday morning. Hopefully you had a good holiday weekend. We're back for another week of shows. Going to be kind of a different week. We'll talk about that later on because we're not going to be on the air tomorrow or Wednesday. More on that to come. But right now, Dr. Lana Pagawa is joining me right now. She is the Communications Director from the Northwest College. Lana, good to see you.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
I'm good. Did you have a nice holiday weekend?
I did, but could always use another day.
Isn't it weird, when we have these scheduled holiday weekends, they never seem short enough. But I don't know about you. When we seem to have President's Day, it's like that holiday comes up. We've got a lot on our plate. And it's like, do we have to take this day off? I don't know what it is.
I know. It's so odd.
It is, but it's good to have everyone back joining us live on Facebook and YouTube. We're here just about every morning when HCC is in session. Now, we're not here tomorrow or Wednesday because of our State of the College event that's happening on Wednesday. So those 2 days, no show. But today, we, of course, will have a show, and we've got some great guests coming your way. Before we get to that, Lana, maybe you can tell us about where they can find us on HCCTV and in social media.
Sure. So we are live on Houston Community College District Facebook page, not HCC, and YouTube. We're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, and HCC TV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
All right, stick around. You'll be talking with his next two guests. Christina Tam is the Adult Services Programming Librarian for Fort Bend County Libraries, and Donald Adair is the Audiovisual Department Manager of the George Memorial Library. Welcome to you both. Welcome to the show. We're going to get to y'all very shortly. I know we're talking Tasty Tuesday. More on that to come. Lana will be with you very shortly, so stick around. But first off, we want to talk about Mental Health Monday. That's what today is. And we've got Richard Rosing joining us. He's faculty for the Human Service Technology Program of HCC's Coleman College of Health Sciences, and he's our Mental Health Monday guest. Good morning. How are you, Rich? Let's see if we can get you to unmute your mic. Still muted there. There we go.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be on the show with you this morning.
We're going to be talking about something very serious and some of the issues that are often associated with substance use disorder. Tell us about that. First, explain what's the difference between substance use disorder and substance abuse.
So we're really starting to change the language in how we're looking at things. Before, I used to talk about addiction. And just the very term addiction would bring up all these negative connotations. So now we're using the term substance use disorder in terms of it actually being a spectrum, that you have use, abuse, heavier use, and then going on to problematic use. And so we're really trying to kind of shift the mindset, saying that this is a spectrum. It's not like all of a sudden one day you wake up, you're in one spot or the other. In the old days, it was the non-use, abuse, and then the addiction part, the disorder. And now you have mild, moderate, and severe along the scale that's there.
Along with this disorder, what are some of the issues that students could face? I mean, I imagine some of them are very obvious, but some of them may not be so obvious. Maybe you can tell us those.
And for each person, there's a wide range of things. How it normally will affect the students is they'll miss assignments, they'll stay up late, they won't study as much. There's just a whole host of things that come in. The work that they do tend not to be as well. I think U of H did a study, and I don't know the exact statistic, but basically it was those that used minimally or not at all had about a 0.5 point to 3/4 point higher GPA just based on the amount of use that they were doing, in any semester.
And what are some of the risky behaviors associated with substance use disorder?
Well, certainly you have the drinking and driving is out there. The use can affect your mental acuity, all of those things. The biggest thing that is happening right now with basically drug use is the opioid disorder, because so many of the individuals out there that are dealing are selling pills, and they're being cut with fentanyl to increase the potency. And the trouble with that is they aren't really particular about how much fentanyl gets put into any particular pill. So there's actually now this federal slogan, one pill can kill. And so you have people just trying a pill here and there, and it may be the end of their life at that point in time.
And it's not just pills, I imagine they would be cutting with fentanyl. I mean, from what some police officers have told me, it's also being used with marijuana as well. Is that correct? Have you heard that?
Yeah, they'll lace fentanyl with just about anything and everything just to increase that potency. And whenever you have anybody purchasing off of the black market, you have absolutely no control of what you are consuming, because certainly the people that are putting together the bag of pot, the pills, whatever, they're not into quality control.
Right.
They aren't. They're just kind of making it, and so you have absolutely no idea what you're getting as a consumer.
Let's talk about solutions for this. And you've come up with a screening tool that people can use called Uncope. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't come up with it. But yeah, the Uncope is just a real simple screening. It's, have you continued to use alcohol or drugs longer than you had intended? That's the U. The N is, have you neglected some of your usual responsibilities because of alcohol or drug use? And again, that's kind of where the school work can come in. Have you ever wanted to cut down or stop using alcohol or drugs but couldn't? The O is, have your family, friends, or other people objected to your alcohol or drug use? The P is, have you ever found yourself preoccupied and you want to use alcohol or drugs? And that would be where you're in class and, oh gosh, can't wait till I get home tonight or whatever, and I can use or the weekend of that. And these, have you ever used alcohol or drugs to relieve emotional discomfort, sadness, anger, or boredom? And the scoring is real simple. If you answer yes to 2 of those, then there is indication that you may need a further assessment. And they're even looking at the idea of, if you answered yes to 1 of those, then maybe you need to have it checked out a little bit more to kind of see what issues may be popping up for you.
And there's also 2 questions you can ask yourself if you think you may have a problem, correct?
Yeah, and it's the 2 questions is, in the last year, have you ever drunk or used drugs more than you meant to? Say you're going into a party and you say, you know what, I'm only going to drink 3 drinks tonight. And you find yourself drinking 4, 5, 6, 7 that you really can't decide. And then, have you ever wanted to cut down on your use for some reason? Because that in itself indicates that you're concerned about your use at some level, that you think that, gosh, I'm using too much, maybe I need to cut down.
Are there methods that family and friends could intervene? And maybe you can talk about that.
There is ways to intervene. The one that actually is determined most effective was the community reinforcement and family technique. It's a craft part to where it's actually to where it's a behavior modification type thing, to where you're actually rewarding the person when they're sober. I think in the old days, we would do these interventions where the family would come in and confront the person. They'd have the list. I myself have participated and done those. And they were effective in getting the person into treatment, but because of the emotions that got carried with it. And craft is really a reinforcing aspect of reinforcing positive behavior and getting them to come to their own realization that they want to be part of the family. They want to be included in things. And so the craft method is is turning out to be highly effective. It has a basis in what's called motivational interviewing, which is a more positive way of working with, even with inside of treatment. The old style of treatment would be to harsh confrontation. We need to break through the person's denial. They have to admit that they're an alcoholic. And we've learned over the course of time that if we work with the person, because I have not met one person that has a substance use disorder that from the very first time they went into treatment that they wanted something to be different in their life. But we've always dictated to them what that is versus working with them, and because they want their life to be different.
Right. Richard, before you go, we've only got about 30 seconds. If a student has questions, where would you refer them? Could they go through our counseling department?
Right.
The first thing to start.
The counseling department is set up. They have a list of referrals that they could make for them. So there's certainly contact the HCC school counselor, and they would have a list of referrals. They can talk to you. They can work with you and help you out. There's also, I think HCC has a contract with Austin Recovery Center to where the student can actually get a recovery coach, someone that's been in recovery,
right,
to help them with their substance use.
Richard Rosing, he is with Coleman College of Health Sciences. We appreciate you being here. We're going to have all your information in our social media post after the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on. Have a good week.
You too. All right, we're going to turn things over to Dr. Lana Pagao, who has some special guests joining her for Tasty Tuesday. Even though it's a Monday, I know it's confusing, but Lana's going to explain it all.
Yeah, we're going to move on to Christina Tam of Fort Bend County Libraries and Donald Adair of George Memorial Library. Both are our Tasty Tuesday guests, even though, as you said, it's Monday. Excuse me. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Christina, let's start with you. Fort Bend Libraries is hosting an Earth Day festival this weekend. And Solar Ovens Cooking with the Sun is one of your events. Why did you want to include this workshop?
I'm actually going to turn this over to Don because this was his passion project. And to begin with, to answer your question, though, solar ovens are a sustainable way of cooking completely without electricity and without using gas and oil, and you can do it in your own backyard. And I'm going to turn it over to him to tell us all about what that entails.
So solar cooking is really ancient. I mean, people think, oh, it's a modern invention, and yeah, solar ovens are, but people have used the sun to cook and dehydrate food for millennia. I mean, you look at the grains. People dehydrated grain since we grew grain. I mean, it's, dried corn. I mean, you can go to the Anasazi ruins in the Southwest and there's still dried corn cobs that they dehydrated with the sun. I mean, it's ancient. But solar ovens are modern technology, and they improve the function of the sun. But again, they don't use any gas or electricity. Anytime you get a sunny day, you don't have to heat up your kitchen. You can take your food outside, put in the solar oven, and put in there, and you just adjust your solar oven every 30 minutes to an hour and keep it pointed toward the sun, and you cook your food. You don't have any aftertaste or anything else. So nice way to cook.
There was that whole movement with sun tea when people would put their tea out in the sun in a glass container, and it would brew tea. So yeah, you're right. We've been doing it forever. So what can you cook in a solar oven?
Pretty much anything except you can't fry. Mm-hmm. You can bake bread. You can bake brownies. You can cook a roast. You can bake potatoes. Wow. You can pretty much think of it, and you can put it in an oven. You can put it in a solar oven. Mm-hmm. It may take a little longer. Solar ovens don't get as hot. Mm-hmm. The solar oven I have, maximum temperature I've got with is 410 degrees.
And we can show it to you right now if you'd like.
I've got a sun oven. We
did bring it with us, and we will be demoing this at the event itself on Saturday. Here, if you want to take home.
So this is the sun oven. It's a great oven. It has a solar reflector. And there's the interior of the oven.
I'm gonna hold that. I'm sorry.
And you just open up the window. Oops. And there's a rack in there. You can use your rack. You hook it up. There's a gauge in the back where you can tilt the oven up. And when you tilt it up, it catches the sun, and this is the reflector that goes around the oven, helps you catch the solar rays. So it's a very efficient method, and you just kind of tilt it as the sun goes around. You just kind of follow the sun and cook away. So it's a great method to cook food.
And that's what the whole thing looks like when it's completely assembled.
Wow, that's very impressive. So will you be showing folks how to make their own solar oven?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Because there's two methods. The pizza box method makes a very flat, small space solar oven. You really can't cook much of anything with it. I mean, you can warm stuff up. It's too shallow to really cook food.
Mm-hmm.
But the dual box solar oven, where you use two boxes, one smaller than the other, and you put the smaller box inside the bigger box and fill the interspace with newspaper, for insulation, line with foil, and put a piece of glass on the top. And you can make a solar oven with that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I understand you can also use a solar oven as a slow cooker or dehydrator. How does that work?
Yes. Well, basically the same thing. I mean, slow cooker, you just put your food in there. It's always a slow cook. I mean, because you preheat your oven, but it takes time. Like banana bread takes about an hour and a half. A roast, you're talking about 3 hours. Baking potatoes, about an hour and a half. So, depending on the food, when you can warm up something in probably 30, 45 minutes. It's not as fast as a gas or electric oven, but it's using the sun.
Right. So you say you can even boil water. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which then makes this a great resource for when a disaster strikes.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take your water, you put it in there, boil it, and then run it through a coffee filter. And it takes all the bugs and other debris out of the water, and then you have nice, clean, potable water.
Wonderful. So, Christina, these are great sustainable practices and eco-friendly solutions as we approach Earth Day. When is your event, and how can folks find more information?
So our Earth Day event is ahead of the actual Earth Day. Earth Day takes place on April 22nd, but we're having it a week early on April 15th from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and we hope everyone can come. It's going to be at George Memorial Library in Richmond, and it's going to be huge. We're going to have an amphitheater performance with Tom's Fun Band, and he'll take us through his recycled instruments and have fun with the kids and do a singing performance. It'll be the first time we use the amphitheater in quite a while. So it'll be very exciting. We're also having more sustainable practices. Halai, I'm going to mispronounce this. Halai Hassanzada will be here to talk about slow fashion and sustainable fashion and the differences between slow fashion and fast fashion, and talk about how stores today are trying to improve their techniques for sustainable fashion. We're also going to have an electric vehicle exhibit with Tesla and Hyundai. We'll come and present their electrical vehicles and talk about how that will, how they're trying to be more eco-friendly. We're also having gardening for Benmaster gardeners, and they'll talk about how native bees can be used to cultivate your gardening. And on top of that, we're also having the Fort Bend Beekeeper Association come and present an information table there. Lots of other things. Keep Sugarland Beautiful will be here to talk about upcycling. We're having a plant swap from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So we would love to have your plants there to trade with other people. Maybe you'll pick up a collectible that you haven't gotten for your garden yet.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course we have Dawn's program at 1:30. Solar ovens, cooking for the sun. Please register for that because we would love to help you make a DIY solar oven with you. And then Fort Bend County's Health and Human Services and Environmental Health Department will be here to present on hazards at home. And it's called Your Number 2 is Our Number 1. And you can guess what that's about. And it's very kid friendly. It's
Right.
definitely for parents.
That's wonderful. Christina Tam of Fort Bend County Libraries and Don Adair of George Memorial Library, both are Tasty Tuesday guests, even though it's Monday. We'll have your info in our post after the show, and we'll even include your banana bread recipe. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all. Okay. Some announcements to get through for the rest of the show. One of them, a business model canvas. Check this out. A plan is essential whether you're pivoting your existing business model due to the pandemic, expanding your business, or just starting out. In this interactive in-person workshop, Karen Sharp will introduce planning tools to identify customers and opportunities in evolving markets. It's from 10 a.m. to noon tomorrow, okay, Tuesday, April the 11th, at HCC's district office at 3100 second floor in the auditorium. So check that out. We'll have some information on how you can register in our post after the show. And Lana, there's a Skills USA competition that our students can compete in.
Yeah. It's Skills USA time this week at HCC. HCC's in partnership with Skills USA. We'll host the Texas Post-Secondary Skills and Leadership Competition. So it's not too late for all current HCC technical work for students to compete. It's Wednesday through Friday, April 13th through the 15th. I believe that's the 12th through the 15th. Check our post after the show for links for submission forms and additional information on Skills USA.
All right. And there is also a very important WebEx workshop coming up. You can join this virtual workshop to review the objectives of answering what is Black mental health. Some of the topics they'll talk about is the causes and influences of Black mental health barriers, facts, and what Black mental health looks like. All that and more, a WebEx workshop. It's 11 a.m. to 12:45 p.m., Wednesday, April the 19th. We'll have some information in our post on how you can register for this free event as well. And there's also a faculty exhibition happening at the West Loop, Lana.
Yeah, Wendy Robbins is an art faculty, and for Wendy, creating a drawing is as much of a physical occurrence as it is a mental exercise. She quickly expresses what she is seeing or thinking about during those acts. These works are the records or perhaps remnants of those experiences, she said. And that is April 18th through May 5th at HCC Southwest West Loop Gallery. It's free. There's an artist reception from 6 to 8:30 p.m. Thursday, April 20th. Registration's not required for the gallery, and everyone's welcome. We'll have that information up after the show.
Speaking of art, students, check this out. Graduation cover contest. That's right. As graduation approaches, HCC wants to make it memorable by showcasing 2 student design skills with the best commencement covers for the program you'll actually find at the commencement ceremonies for the spring and fall 2023 ceremonies. So keep that in mind. The winners will not only get their artwork published in the program's promotional material, but they will also have a chance to win a brand new iPad. The deadline to submit your cover art is Wednesday, April the 19th. You can check our post after the show and how you can register for this. And believe it or not, a few years ago, one of our students designed a cover. We liked having him on board so much, they hired him in communications, and now he's a full-time employee. So students, use that for some inspiration. You might get a job out of this. You never know. Okay, Lana, I know at the Northwest College, along with all of our colleges, you guys are excited about summer registration because the classes fill up fast. Students need to register now.
They do. So summer registration is open. It's begun. So it's time to get in gear and register. If you haven't been able to secure your course, your professor location, all courses are offered in person and online. So get busy. and register. We have several options. There's online anytime, no established class meeting times unless listed. Online on a schedule, there is a meeting time that's set and courses meet online. We have our hybrid, which is electric class meets partially face-to-face and partially virtually. Of course, our traditional in-person, which are face-to-face courses with traditional meeting patterns at various campus locations, and our hybrid labs, which are our laboratory and studio courses. So to learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover cost, go to hccs.edu/apply.
Okay, we're going to wrap up today's show, but keep in mind tomorrow and Wednesday, there will be no Up to the Minute as HCCTV is working on producing our State of the College event, which happens Wednesday. So no shows tomorrow or Wednesday. Jardea will be back on Thursday. And of course, we'll have another show on Friday. So Lana, thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. And we'll see you next time, Thursday, back again with Up to the Minute. Have a good week.